Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
I stared at the envelope in my hands, the sight of it instantly souring my mood. Of course, the HOA sent another letter. And yeah, it was exactly what I feared. A $200 fine for not attending their ridiculous annual meeting. A meeting that I swear served no purpose except to waste everyone's time, with the usual suspects complaining about every little thing. It's laughable that they actually think anyone wants to be there. I tossed the letter onto the kitchen counter, feeling my frustration grow like a fire that just wouldn't burn out. How do they justify this crap? I muttered to no one but myself. $200? What kind of backroom math are they using to come up with that number? My partner walked in, catching me mid-rant. "What's going on?" they asked, giving me that familiar raised eyebrow look like I'd just dropped something valuable. In this case, it was my sanity. Without a word, I shoved the letter at them. They read it quickly, eyebrows furrowing deeper with each line. "Wait, they're fining you for skipping the meeting, $200? That's insane, right?" I threw my hands up, pacing the length of the kitchen like that would help burn off the anger. I value my time way higher than theirs. Maybe I should send them an invoice for the last meeting. 3 hours of my life wasted listening to Karen drone on about her neighbor's stupid hedges. That's gotta be worth at least $150 an hour. My partner tried not to laugh but failed. "Are you really going to send them an invoice?" "Why not?" I fired up the printer, determination kicking in. "I'll bill them $450 and see how they like it for a change." Let them squirm. The satisfaction of printing that invoice was temporary, though. By the next morning, I wasn't so sure I'd made the best decision. Over coffee, the weight of that fine was still hanging over me, and it wasn't going anywhere. I glanced over at my partner. "I'm sending that invoice today," I said, hoping the action would feel as good as it had in my head. They looked at me, half amused, half concerned. "Just be careful, okay?" But I was too annoyed to care. No, they're counting on people just paying up without a fight, not this time. I hit send on the email, feeling a small rush of victory, but it was followed by a pang of unease. What if they came back with something worse? What if this made things spiral? A few days later, the next envelope showed up. This time, it wasn't just a fine. No, they'd escalated to a warning about disruptive activities, whatever that meant. I was furious. "You've got to be kidding me," I fumed, storming into the living room where my partner was watching TV. "They're saying I'm disruptive now, all because I won't bend over and take their stupid fine?" My partner took the letter from me, their expression quickly mirroring mine. "They're definitely trying to intimidate you. Maybe it's time to talk to a lawyer." That suggestion hit me hard. I didn't want to go down that road, but I couldn't ignore it. "Yeah, fine. Let's talk to someone. This is out of control." So we made an appointment with a lawyer who had dealt with HOA disputes before. Sitting in her office, I felt a mix of anxiety and determination as I recounted the whole ridiculous ordeal. I expected her to shrug and tell me to just pay the fine, but she didn't. "You've got a case," she said, eyes calm and sharp behind her glasses. "But be ready for a long haul. These things can drag out." I looked at my partner, then back at the lawyer. "We're ready," I said, even though I wasn't entirely sure I believed it. Leaving her office felt both reassuring and terrifying. Sure, we had legal backing now, but I knew the HOA wasn't going to roll over. The next few weeks were tense. The lawyer guided us through sending a formal letter that challenged the fine and the warning, outlining all the ways the HOA had overstepped. We hoped it'd scare them into backing down, but instead it seemed to have the opposite effect. A few days later, we got a notice about an emergency HOA meeting, and it was clear this was about us. "They're trying to circle the wagons," I muttered to my partner. "They want to make an example out of us." Our lawyer advised us to keep our heads down and not do anything drastic until the meeting. But that didn't stop me from talking to some of the neighbors. Turns out we weren't the only ones feeling the pressure from the HOA. Donna, a woman who lived a few doors down, pulled me aside when I was walking the dog one morning. "They fined me for leaving my trash cans out 5 minutes past the pickup time," she whispered like she was afraid someone might be listening. "I mean, I was inside, how was I supposed to know?" I shook my head. "This is exactly what they do. They nickel and dime people over nothing." We quickly realized we had more allies than we thought. Word spread, and before long, there was a group of us, all dealing with fines or warnings that were downright absurd. We decided to meet up at my place to plan. It wasn't anything formal, just a bunch of neighbors fed up with the nonsense. That night, we gathered in my living room, and it felt a little like we were plotting a revolution. Donna was there, plus a few others who'd also had enough. The energy in the room was tense but charged. Everyone was on edge, but also eager to stand up for themselves. "I got fined for having my garage door open too long," someone said. "They claimed it was a safety hazard. Are you kidding me?" We all laughed bitterly. Because what else could we do at that point? "What are we gonna do?" Donna asked, her eyes wide with frustration. "We fight back," I said, the words tasting bold but also reckless on my tongue. "We stick together, and we push back. They can't take us all down." As the days passed and the meeting drew closer, anxiety gnawed at me. But we were too far in to stop now. The night of the emergency meeting, my stomach was a knot of nerves, but I wasn't about to let them see that. No way. We walked into the meeting hall, and the atmosphere was thick with tension. The board members sat at the front looking down at us like we were school children about to get scolded. Karen, of course, was right in the center, looking smug as always. People started shouting their grievances. The whole thing quickly devolved into chaos, with the board members trying and failing to keep control. It was clear that we'd hit a nerve. For once, they were the ones on the back foot. "We're not backing down," I said loudly, standing up. "We're sick of your arbitrary fines and ridiculous rules. You can't keep treating us like this." Karen shot me a glare so sharp it could cut glass, but I didn't flinch. Finally, after what felt like hours of arguing, one of the board members raised his hands. "We'll take your complaints under consideration." It was the most half-hearted promise I'd ever heard, and we all knew it. But the fact that they even had to say it, that was something. As we filed out of the room, I felt my frustration still simmering, but there was also a small flicker of hope. We weren't finished, not by a long shot, and they knew it too, for now the fight wasn't over, but we'd taken the first step. If the ability to fine for not attending a meeting is not in writing in the declaration, highly unlikely it is enforceable. Force the board to point to the specific clause in the declaration that requires homeowners' attendance. Even if there is something in the declaration, which is doubtful, that would be a clause that would seem easy to get enough other homeowners to change it, since the homeowners are the HOA, not the board, which may be doing BS, or ripe for a legal challenge. Find if it exists, and if it does, have a lawyer request how many other non-attendees received the same notice as well as the attendance of the event. If the community is big enough, I can tell you right now they didn't notify every home. Trust me when I say there's a lot of shady stuff an HOA will push. But if it's not in the covenants and aren't applying it consistently, they have no leg to stand on. Did they have an option to submit the proxy once you realized you couldn't make it? If not, I think that's where you have the best chance of fighting your case. You're not just getting fined for not attending the meeting. The fine is for not attending the meeting or submitting the proxy. But if they require the proxy to be in by a certain date and don't have an option to submit a proxy if you are unable to attend at the last minute, albeit medical emergency, car trouble, working late, whatever, that is a problem if they are going to try to fine you.
If you like our stories, then please like and subscribe and comment, and remember to hit that bell icon so you never miss out. We have new stories almost every day.
So let me tell you about this board from the neighborhood next to mine. What a disaster. I mean, if you thought dealing with one Karen homeowner was bad, wait until you hear about this garbage HOA board that's been running the show for 7 years. Yeah, 7 years, and somehow it's always the same 3 people in charge. How? Because they've made sure it stays that way. It's basically this little inner circle of friends, with one person originally appointed by the developer all those years ago. Then she brought on her 2 buddies. And that's it. They've never had enough people show up to actually vote for new board members, so these 3 just hang on to their power like it's the last donut at a party. It's wild. Like, they act like they're running a secret society over there, always looking out for themselves. I'm not even in that neighborhood, and just hearing about the stuff they pull gets me all worked up. Now, let me tell you about their latest stunt. So, about a month ago, they sent out a notice for their annual HOA meeting. Of course, they waited till the absolute last second to send it, just meeting the bare minimum time required by Florida law. They postmarked it on the Thursday before a long holiday weekend, right? So, by the time homeowners actually got their notices, it was Tuesday, and the notice said that if anyone was interested in running for the board, they had to submit their intent and bio by Thursday. Yeah, you heard that right. They gave people like a day to get their stuff together and submit it. And let's be real, most people probably didn't even get the notice until Wednesday. So what are they supposed to do with that? It's like they were trying to make sure nobody else could run. I mean, come on, that's shady, right? But it gets better. The actual meeting where they're supposed to vote on new board members was held on the following Thursday, at 11 in the morning. Who holds a meeting like that at 11 a.m. on a workday? It's almost like they don't want anyone to show up. Oh wait, that's exactly what they want. Surprise, surprise, the turnout was terrible. Most people have jobs, you know, but they didn't care. They were fully prepared to just push through their agenda with nobody around to stop them. And the best part? They didn't even tell anyone who was running for the board ahead of time. They were just going to keep everyone in the dark unless enough people showed up to meet quorum. Of course, quorum wasn't met because why would it be? But here's where it gets interesting. They were all set to close the meeting and call it a day when one brave resident, God bless this person, stood up and stopped them. They pointed out that according to their own governing documents, they couldn't just shut it down. They had to postpone the meeting for at least 30 more days and make another attempt to meet quorum, allowing people to vote by proxy. It was like watching a soap opera. You could see the board members' faces twist in frustration. They clearly didn't want to deal with this, but they had no choice. They grumbled and whined about it, but finally agreed to let the present members vote on whether to push the meeting. And wouldn't you know it, the motion passed. That's when one of the board members, and get this, turns to the resident who spoke up and says, "Well, we want to elect someone to the board, just not you." The nerve of these people, like, can you believe the pettiness? It's like high school drama, but worse, because these people are supposed to be running a neighborhood. I swear this board thinks they're untouchable, and the whole thing is just one big power trip for them. I don't even know what kind of satisfaction they get out of it. It's not like being on the board comes with any perks. You don't get paid or anything, but these folks, they act like they're the kings and queens of the whole world. But wait, there's more. Let me tell you about one of these board members, the one who made that snide comment. A while back, she was involved in this incident where she hit a kid with her golf cart. And no, I'm not exaggerating. She straight up ran into a child. And guess what? She was drunk while driving the cart. I can't even make this stuff up. You'd think something like that would be a huge deal, right? But nope. The board worked overtime to make sure it stayed hush-hush. No one wanted to talk about it. No one wanted to bring it up at meetings. They just swept it under the rug like it was no big deal. I mean, the audacity of these people is unreal. So now we're just waiting for the next attempt at a meeting. But I already know how this is going to go. They're probably going to pull some other shady tactic to make sure they stay in power. Maybe they'll hold the meeting at like 6 a.m. next time or something ridiculous like that. It's almost funny at this point, except for the fact that it's actually really frustrating. And here's the thing. I get why people don't want to show up for these meetings. Who wants to spend their time dealing with this nonsense? It's exhausting, and the board knows that. They're banking on the fact that no one cares enough to fight them. That's how they've been able to stay in power all this time. They've figured out that if they make the process difficult enough, no one will bother. And the few who do show up, well, they just throw a bunch of red tape in their way. It's like they've turned this whole thing into some sort of game, and they're really good at it. The sad part is that the homeowners are the ones who suffer. These people should be focusing on making the community a better place to live, but instead they're just playing politics. Honestly, I don't even know what's going to happen next, but if I were a betting person, I'd say this board is going to do everything they can to hold on to their little fiefdom. It's ridiculous. And yeah, the whole hitting a kid while drunk thing, that still blows my mind. How do you even come back from that? But somehow they've managed to keep it quiet and just go on with their lives like nothing ever happened. It's unreal. Anyway, that's where things stand right now. I'll keep you posted after the next meeting. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath for anything to change. If there's one thing I've learned from watching this dumpster fire of an HOA, it's that these people will do anything to stay in control. Now that's a horror story, right? A bunch of power-hungry, self-serving board members who'll stop at nothing to keep their little club intact. No lessons learned, no happy endings, just more of the same garbage, year after year. The timing doesn't line up. 14 days is too short. Per Florida statute for HOAs, not less than 60 days before a scheduled election, the association shall mail, deliver, or electronically transmit, whether by separate association mailing or included in another association mailing, delivery, or transmission, including regularly published newsletters, to each unit owner entitled to a vote, a first notice of the date of the election. Any unit owner or other eligible person desiring to be a candidate for the board must give written notice to the association not less than 40 days before a scheduled election, together with the written notice and agenda as set forth in subparagraph 2. The association shall mail, deliver, or electronically transmit a second notice of the election to all unit owners entitled to vote therein, together with a ballot which shall list all candidates. Be careful. You say they don't get paid. My HOA had a board member get hired as the property manager and was then paid a salary, given a cell phone, etc. Also, board contracts don't bear the same emoluments restrictions as in other business. They can, and in my experience often do, get kickbacks. This board definitely needs to be removed, but it's not true that dues wouldn't go up or the impact would be minimal. Premiums would go up. If they don't have directors and officers insurance, dues alone would cover the cost of the suit. Even if they did have D&O insurance, if the suit went on long enough they would refuse to renew and the HOA would be forced to go to the subprime market. Think deductibles if $50,000, $100K. These boards are what make people believe all boards and HOAs are bad and they are a disgrace. However, at the end, these boards are directly because you have residents who refuse to get involved. Good boards enforcing rules or bad boards hiding shit. It really begins and ends with a total lack of responsibility and unwillingness to be involved in the part of unit owners.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.